What's up, everyone? We're back on Wisecrack Live. We took a week off because I got sick. So I didn't want to do it sick. I could have been contagious and didn't want to get anyone sick. But as always, it's Michael Burns. I'm here. Producer Griffin is hanging out. He has to do a lot of other stuff too, so I'm not gonna bug him too much. But are you able to say hi now, Producer Griffin,
Hello.
for a
Hi,
second?
hi now. Hey now.
See, he's there. And what's up, everyone? Hey, Ermac and Uwillow and Nelson and M. Hurlo and Paul. I'm not going to go back all the way because I want to pay attention. Kwame is here. Michael is here. People are here. I'm glad to see you all. I missed you. I was tempted to want to do this last week, but it would have been selfish because it would have been about me just wanting people to hang out with when I was sick and in isolation. But I don't think it would have been good content. And we're all about good content. Pablo, thank you for welcoming me back to the land of the healthy. I like being here. So lots of stuff to talk about, things to catch up on. We're gonna watch some videos. Oh, it says I'm offline. I'm not offline. Yeah, we got some to talk about video-wise. There's some things that have happened on the television that I would like to talk about. We'll see if anyone watched. Let's see. Balin said, "Let's get ready to reason." Yes, this is a space of reason, above all else, a space of reason and wisdom. So let's go through a couple things real quick. Just a reminder, we do this every Thursday. We didn't do it last Thursday, but every Thursday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. You can find us right here. Of course, as always, just a reminder, we have a Patreon. If you join that, you get some extra content. Junkmail said, didn't know Wisecrack live stream. This is cool. We just started. This is probably the 5th live stream. If you didn't catch the last one, we were with our friend Tom Nicholas, who has a very rad YouTube channel where he makes very good videos. And that was really fun. So if you watched Tom's channel before and you like him, you'll really like that conversation. If you haven't watched Tom's channel before, you will. One thing I'm going to say to producer Griffin, Wisecrack Live is currently listed on the public page under videos. Is that normal? Do we do that while we're streaming and then we take it off afterwards?
I think it has to be public while we're live.
Cool. Just making sure. What's up, Vox Podcast? What does Michael's hat say?
Yeah,
I'm not
while
even
it's
sure
while it's live, it's always going to be public, and then it'll go to the unlisted Wisecrack live stream section.
All right. Oh, awesome. That makes sense. Okay. So Nelson said, can we avoid spoiling the latest Kenobi? Yes, I was going to talk about this. We will avoid spoiling that. Nelson says, you've seen the latest boys. We'll talk a little bit about both the boys and Kenobi without spoiling. What's up, dude abides? Thanks, Christopher. So we'll talk about all that stuff. Joan Jobs watched We Own the City. Awesome show. If you haven't watched We Own the City, you should. So here's what's been going on down on Wisecrack since we were last together, because it's been a couple weeks. Uwillow said Obi-Wan dies, which is fair because we know that he doesn't. And we'll get into this more, but it's pretty hard to have a super compelling TV show when we know that all of the main characters will live, right? So this isn't a spoiler. We know because of reality that Obi-Wan will not die. We know that Darth Vader will not die. We know that Luke will not die. We know that Leia will not die. We know that Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru won't die. We know that everyone who's there is going to live. And I would say this isn't even a criticism of Obi-Wan as such. That's just hard. It's hard to build tension in a show if you know no one's going to die. And I would say it's the opposite with the boys, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Because in the boys, there's this constant tension that they might kill anyone, which makes the show so compelling. But since we were last together, we put out a video on South Park turning anti-capitalist. And I think that's one of our things. We've talked about the last few South Park videos. Historically, everyone knows that Matt and Trey are libertarian dude bros. And their libertarianism has often meant that they are politically critiquing everything and offending everyone. And recently, it seems like they veered a little left in, I guess, like noting that some of the machinations of capitalism are pretty fucked. In the most recent episode is about like the streaming wars related to the Water Wars. Um, so yeah, oh yeah, and Dude Abide says you did a video about how they had a similar situation with Clone Wars. Yeah, I think the Clone Wars does a better job of it. Clone Wars is so good. Joan Job said, "This is my problem with the obsession with producing prequels, just because it makes good business sense but crap content." I agree in general. Ronnie Weiss says, "Is death the only way to create tension, though?" And I think you make a very good point, Ronnie. No, it's not. And in our video on Clone Wars, we kind of talk about this from a storytelling perspective. I mean, it's like, for example, there's so many narrative structures, thinking of like Shakespeare here, right? Where we know how so many story structures end that are grounded, let's say, in the Shakespearean mode. But when we watch either things, let's say, based on Shakespeare or new productions of Shakespeare, it still works because the narratives are so compelling. This is why we kind of have a general principle at Wisecrack that spoilers aren't real if something's good. Like, you can't spoil something good because if the goodness of the thing depends on a reveal or an M. Night Shyamalan twist, then what's good is the twist, but not the narrative itself. We're going to be talking more about that later. Vox Podcast says, in the interest of stealing Wisecrack viewers, you thief. This weekend's Vox podcast is literally about how hard it is to do Kenobi for the reason I just said. Yeah. Also, just check out Vox podcast. Check out Vox podcast if you haven't already. I've listened to a couple. I want to listen to more, but there's so much content to listen to. Sometimes I forget. I'm really sorry about that. You Willow, you said, I think, and this is in reference to South Park, I think they're less turning left, and that the position associated with our American left is becoming harder to fully shit on in the face of the alternatives. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that it's less. That's a really good point. They're not turning left, but they're acknowledging a reality that's a reality that has previously mostly been articulated by left positions. So it's not that they're operating with an ideological perspective. It's that they're saying, here are things that are apparently fucked about society, and they are the things that leftists, let's say, are more likely to have been saying, yes, these things are fucked for a longer time. So I think that's a really good point. And now that you've made a good point, we're going to end the stream here because I can't compete with that. Let's see. I'll run through some comments real quick. Nathanatos, good to see you. Yeah, you still need to see episode 6. Yes, we're not going to spoil Kenobi. I only watched it kind of late last night as well. Joan Job says the Lion King works not because we know what happens to Hamlet, because the story makes us care for Simba for sure. Yeah, we got to care about characters. So, but since then we had our South Park video. We finally put out a video on Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think every time we've done a Wisecrack live stream, people have asked, when are we covering Everything Everywhere All at Once? We finally did. And let me tell you, if ever there is a video where it was so hard to narrow things down and not talk for an hour, good Lord, that was one, because that movie is great. We also did a video on TikTok, ruining your brain. Is it ruining your brain? Yeah, of course. I know we put out a video on the Supreme Court. Look at us. Look at us doing Supreme Court analysis. What have we become? But check that one out. There were some funny comments on there about us getting like political or something as a channel. And I don't think we're an explicitly political channel, but I did think it was funny for people to say, like, I miss the old Wisecrack. This is so political. When I don't know about you all, I'd be curious what everyone's first Wisecrack video was. The first Wisecrack video I ever saw, when I didn't know what Wisecrack was, I had a student, when I was still teaching philosophy, send me a link to the 8-bit philosophy video on Marx, because we were working on Marx in class. And they were like, hey, Professor Burns, I found this video. It helped me understand Marx, but I want to make sure it's correct. And I clicked the link, and in my judgmental, shallow brain, I was like, there's no universe where this YouTube video with 8-bit animation is going to be good on Marx. But then it was. So I was like, oh, this channel rules. And then 2 years later, I ended up meeting the people that started the channel. But all I had to say was my first exposure to Wisecrack was like a video about Marx. And so to say that there's never been any type of political analysis historically on Wisecrack, one of the earliest videos was on Marx. I just find kind of funny because Marx is a pretty notable political economist, in my humble opinion. Sorry if I get your name wrong, but Arnav says, What do you think of Atlanta season 3? As I've heard no talk about that from Wisecrack. The most bizarre, unique, insane thing I've seen on TV. Season 3 was above and beyond for me. Yes. So yes, we actually right before I'll go behind the crack with you all. Before I got COVID a couple weeks ago, I was just wrapping up a script on Atlanta season 3, looking particularly at the way in which season 3 talks about identity, and almost I think season 3 is like this realist, almost materialist response to the almost existential surrealism and absurdism of the first 2 seasons. But because I was out, we had to push that back. What we're now going to do is I'm going to take a bunch of the stuff I wrote for that video, and we're going to film in a week or two a Philosopher Reacts on Atlanta season 3. So you'll get our take on it. Then I don't want to spoil it too much, but I think some of the most interesting stuff in this season of Atlanta was the episodes that have nothing to do with our main characters. And if you haven't watched it yet, I don't think it was as watched this time around. Watch Atlanta season 3 if you're US based. I know it's on like FX and Hulu and stuff like that. If you're, I think it streams in other places. Download it illegally, whatever. Nelson said, "quote Not my fault that reality is Marxist." Yeah. Alternaut said, "Philosophy of mathematics is better than political philosophy." A little bit. I think they relate though. And I think some of the most interesting political philosophy interacts with the philosophy of math, but don't get mad at me. Nelson says, "Need to watch the new Atlanta, but so much content." There's too much content, guys. There's too much content. Joan Jobs, can one really cover everything ever all at once? No, they can't, because it's in the title. Let's see. Ooh, John says, "This in the Supreme Court still sucks." No comment. Dude Abide says, "Your first Wisecrack video was the philosophy of Saw." That's a fun one. John says, "First Wisecrack video was Rick and Morty one written by Alec." Thanks, Alec. Rest in peace. John gets it. Rest in peace to Alec. He's not dead, but it's the ongoing bit. When people move on from Wisecrack, we say rest in peace. Speaking of people who've moved on from Wisecrack, our old friend Evan Yee, who patrons will know from the patron hangouts, is going to come on the stream in the next week or two. So that'll be fun. He's working at a cool company now that makes content about space, like space that's out there. So we're going to talk to him about that. Vox says a lot of students love Wisecrack because of the Mark stuff that comes up. That's also how I found it. Hey, same. There you go. Let's see. Yeah. Ballin watched the Thug Notes first. Joan says, "I miss the old Wisecrack. Feels like the ignorance is bliss effect. Once you become politically aware, everything feels political or more political than it is or always was." Very true. Dude Abide says, "I still need refreshers about nihilism by watching the video covering BoJack Horseman and Rick Sanchez." That might still be my favorite one I've ever written. Okay, I'm going to try to catch up. Make Wisecrack crack wise again. I love it. We got to watch Atlanta. Da-da-da-da-da. King of the Hill. Evan coming back. Awesome. So let's see. What do we have coming up? I like to tell you all what we have coming up before we go too much further. Let's think. Griffin, if you're there.
Hi.
What comes out tomorrow?
What comes out tomorrow? Oh my gosh, my brain. I don't know. I should know.
Yeah. We have a video that's going tomorrow. Okay, I'll tell you what we have. I'm just gonna say some videos that I know are coming. We have a video on Jared Leto and method acting.
That's tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
Okay, that's tomorrow. Oh, here's a fun thing too, friends. Helen's coming back to host some videos, so you're gonna see some Helen on the main channel soon. Helen was on the stream a few weeks ago. I know we're all big Helen heads. If you're not a Helen head, you're just not a Helen head yet, is what I would say. Everyone's a Helen head. So we got a Jared Leto video. Let's think what else. Ooh, we recorded one yesterday, friends. The longest Wisecrack video we've ever filmed. So for reference, our normal scripts, when we go to film them, are about like 2,500 to 3,000 words. So we normally film 2 videos at once. Often that means in one setting, I will have to say between 5,000 and 6,000 words off, a prompt or whatever. Yesterday, we filmed a video, the script of which was almost 8,000 words. And it is on the topic of, get ready for this one, violence in America, gun violence, why we like guns so much, why there's so much violence. Um, it's a gnarly one because it's a topic that's not super fun, but we did a deep dive on that. So that will be coming out at some point. Oh, here's the big news, Griffin. I'm burying the lead here. Um, on Tuesday of this week, myself and producer Griffin and producer Olivia were in our studio with a very special guest, Devin from Legal Eagle. So I don't know if any of you, I'm sure many of you know the channel Legal Eagle, where Devin gives sort of a legal perspective on the news, on media. I started watching his channel when he did some legal analysis of Always Sunny when Charlie was doing bird law in court, but he was in town. So we sat down together and we watched the entirety of the movie God's Not Dead 3, A Light in the Darkness. So some of you have maybe seen on the channel, we have Philosopher Reacts videos where I watched God's Not Dead 1 and 2 and talked about those. So myself and Devin did that. Two videos are going to come out of it. So there's going to be a video on the Legal Eagle channel that we're going to put more of the sections where we talked about law. And by we, he talked about law because he's a lawyer. And I just asked him very rudimentary questions about how does law work. And then on our channel, we're going to have some of the sections of that reaction video where we talked about the theology and philosophy at play in God's Not Dead 3. That one's not going to come out right away, but it is on the horizon, and very cool to work with Devin. Great dude, has an awesome channel. So we're excited about that. So yeah, there's one comment. Okay, I'm not going to acknowledge it, friends, but let's be nice in the comments. Not even nice. Let's just be respectful. That's all. But we're very respectful. This is a great chat. It's totally fine. Okay, catching up with the chats. Anderson said Wisecrack is competing with ContraPoints. Let's see who does longer. See, Anderson, I think we don't, and here's why. ContraPoints, the channel of which rules. If you don't watch ContraPoints, you should. I think what she does is really cool because she does like a video every 4 to 6 weeks, and it's like a full-on deep dive on one larger topic. I think what we do is make a lot more stuff where we can cover a lot more ground and talk about different stuff that's happening as it happens. In my mind, it's like the difference between a like news and cultural event show and someone who just makes a series of documentaries throughout the year. So I think they work well together. So yeah, I think they're complementary things. Dude Abide says, where did you get that Tapers t-shirt? There is a band called Taper's Choice. The band features members of the bands like Vampire Weekend, Real Estate, and some other bands. And they're like a jam band, and they make merch that they sell at their shows. Their music they're putting out, they record all their shows and put them online for free so you can listen to them. They're very fun. Let's see. Legal Eagle Wisecrack Beard Off. I'll tell you, I don't know who did the beard off right. I'll tell you who did the clothes off or the outfit off or the fit off. Devin, man, he came through. He had multiple suiting options. He looked so fresh. And I, as producer Griffin said, in a way that I'm going to take in a non-offensive manner yesterday. And Griffin, yes, I am going to quote you from a work call in a public setting now. He said when watching the monitor, Devin looked like a well-dressed lawyer and Burns looked like a 12-year-old boy. Because I happened to be wearing a tie-dye shirt with some skeletons on it as I was hanging out next to a man in a 3-piece suit. But, I didn't want to change my game. So, well, you know what we should have done? We should have done a thing where he had to wear a hat and t-shirt and I wore a suit.
Oh, that would have been cool. Yeah.
Next time we'll do some wardrobe stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It would have also been funny just to be in a 3-piece suit when he gets there. That'd be great.
Yes. Like, hello, sir. You Willow said, why do you keep doing God Not Dead to yourself? They're just so much fun and they get better and weirder. And I do think the God's Not Dead videos. So if you haven't seen the God's Not Dead movies, maybe don't. Maybe just watch our videos on them, which you'll see the fun part. I mean, we started the God's Not Dead thing because the first God's Not Dead movie is literally about a philosophy class. It's about this vision of philosophy that I guess some like right-leaning evangelicals have in America, in which the role of philosophy is to like kill God, which was just kind of funny and ridiculous. But it is really interesting at an ideological level to see the films made by, an extreme version of the evangelical right, to see how they view the world, because it's weird. Um, John says, God's not dead. The worst night at your church's youth group movie night. The worst night at my church's youth group movie night is when we had to watch the Mel Gibson Passion of the Christ movie. And I was in like high school or something. And I had to watch like middle schoolers crying as they watch that movie because it's horrifying. And I can't believe that they just made kids watch that. But yeah, what's up, 40-year-old geek? Did Devin have a lawsuit? Boom. I like it. And yes, you Willow. It was a Grateful Dead thing. Paul, yes, I did wear a hat. You Willow said find a three-piece Grateful Dead suit. I should work on it. Let's tie-dye suit. God's not dead. God's not dead. Yeah. Okay, awesome. God was alive. Um, Vox Podcast says a colleague of mine wears a Riddler question mark suit to academic conferences. My only thing with that is I would be worried if I was at a conference and someone had a Riddler suit. I'd be like, are they going to do like a weird crime? I know it's kind of dark, but we live in a weird world. M. Herlo, church is so God centric. Oh, we might watch some videos that involve church later today. I forgot about that. And Devin said, God not dead, got him interested in David Hume. David Hume rips, man. I'm really into the philosophy of David Hume. Okay, cool. So again, if you're just tuning in, this is Wisecrack Live. We do this every Thursday at 11. I'm Michael. Griffin's hanging out as well. Remember to check out our Patreon if you haven't already. Reasons that our Patreon is good. One, it supports us in a way that makes us less dependent on ad dollars, which is always fun, because we want to be less dependent on ad dollars and more dependent on the people that like our content. So it's a nice way to support us. You also get some exclusive content. You get early access to videos, access to research and scripts. I do a series right now that right now is monthly. If we get some more patrons, maybe we can make it more regular, where I do philosophy office hours. So it's once a month, me for 30 or 40 minutes, kind of deep diving into some of the philosophical topics we're talking about in the videos. To me, it feels like when I used to teach philosophy at universities and I would do like seminar hours where we would just like dive into a text together. And then every time I do one of those as well, I do a call for questions. So patrons submit questions and I try to answer them. And I think I've answered like all of them thus far. So it's, kind of interactive and that's fun. We have a podcast series hosted by our friend Amelia, who works at Wisecrack, where we talk about some of the ideas behind the video. So, for example, I went on there to talk about everything everywhere all at once. So, if you have $5 or $10 a month to spare, consider it. If you don't, then don't, because the economy is rough out there. But if you have it in you, think about doing it. Waterside says any Atlanta videos coming. Yes, we talked about this. We do have an Atlanta video that will be coming soon. Probably going to be a philosopher reacts format, but it's definitely gonna happen. Let's see. And we have a Barry video coming as well. So hopefully people watched Barry. Okay, before we start watching videos, let's talk about a couple things real quick. Oh, did we ever get the watch together link going?
Refresh the link. Click on that second link again.
Okay, let's second link. Copy link. Guys, you're getting behind the scenes here. That's how we do
Which one you want to watch first?
Ooh, I don't know. Fuck, why is it not working for me?
Here, I'll make another link.
Make one more link if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, inshallah. I'm excited to talk about it. Are there any online classes for philosophy? Like actual classes? I know there are. I just don't know. Like, I would feel uncomfortable saying if any of them are like good. Probably some of the best. It just says, oops, you appear to be offline. This app requires an internet connection.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to close my browser and open it back up. Listen, everyone, this is real stuff. Sometimes you get to see behind the scenes things. Oh, now it's going to make me open Chrome again. Let's see what happens. Yeah, for online philosophy classes, I don't know. Yeah. There's nothing super good I could recommend. I think there's obviously some good YouTube videos. People like ContraPoints and Philosophy Tube do a really great job. I would try to find some lectures or videos. The easiest thing to do, this might not be the most exciting thing, um, but would probably be something like, um, a series of lectures that come out of a university course. And I don't want to act like you have to be okay. It seems like it's working for me now. With a university level lecturer to have a good philosophy course, but it often builds in at least a little bit of quality control. Whereas if it's just like a random podcast or a YouTube channel, ooh,
Ugh.
yeah, it's like anyone can just kind of say whatever the fuck they want. And that's why I'm kind of like maybe a little bit hesitant to just say find whatever. Okay, so
Which one you want to watch
let's watch
first?
the let's maybe start with the Gravel Institute video.
Okay, give me a second to get it up.
Yeah, I would say maybe load. Yeah, and if you want to, maybe just drop all the links in there in like the playlist so we just have them.
It gets all goofy when I do that.
Oh, never mind that. Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah. Sorry.
Um,
Give me a sec.
Okay, so while oh yeah, Francisco says Stanford has complete philosophy courses. Yeah, check those out. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things really quick as Griffin
All
gets
right.
some videos
Look,
loaded
we
for us
got
to
it.
talk about. All right, cool. So before we get into this, two things I'll say really quick. If you okay, I'm not going to spoil Obi-Wan Kenobi. I will say this. Maybe we can talk about it more in a couple weeks when everyone's had a chance to catch up. I was excited about the show. I think Ewan McGregor does a great job. There's some great individual performances. However, some of the storylines don't make a lot of sense, and I was pretty underwhelmed at the conclusion of the series. I think partially because some of the things that happen don't make sense
All right, you're good
in
to go.
terms of all right, cool. But some of the things that happen just don't make sense in Obi-Wan, in my humble opinion. And it's just so hard to make it good when we know that everyone's gonna make it. And then some of the retconning that happens, I also don't like. I just don't like retconning. I think I'm gonna watch the final episode again because I was really tired when I watched it last night. But I just felt underwhelmed by the whole thing. And it did leave me with this icky feeling of, am I a part of the problem? Because I willfully consume all of this Disney funded content that takes things I loved as a kid and repackages them to me. And here's my other main critique of Obi-Wan. It looks like shit. I'll just say it. It looks like shit. It looks like it was shot on a dark soundstage and that some film students, no disrespect to film students, did like some of the CG and the graphics. I had to like turn off different lights in my living room just to be able to see what was happening on screen because it was so gray and saturated. Um, and I think that it's clear that Disney Plus can make good looking Star Wars content because The Mandalorian looks good. Um, some of the fight sequences and some of the more intense stuff looks great, but Obi-Wan looks so cheap and it's just kind of a bummer. So that's how I'm feeling about that. I haven't watched episode 3 of Miss Marvel. I will say that I'm enjoying it way more than I thought I would, and it's fun. And speaking of things that look good, Miss Marvel just looks good. It's visually interesting and fun. So I'm excited to watch episode 3 later today. The Boys. I'm all the way caught up on Boys. I used some of my COVID off time to get all the way caught up. Absolutely loving it. It's so good. Season 4 is pretty incredible. I love what the show is doing. I'm pretty bummed at what some of the individual characters are doing, however. I would say that this isn't a spoiler. Thematically, what really stands out to me about the boys right now is the kind of deconstruction of the idea of power and pointing out the way in which, at the level of politics, of individual life, of corporate life, that everything comes back around to the acquisition and maintenance of power, and even acts, so whether they be corporate, political, or personal, that are presented as virtuous, moral, well intended. When we really chip away, it just comes back to people want power. And when people have access to power, any moral edifice crumbles. And along with that, I think The Boys, especially in season 4, is pointing out the way. Sorry, season 3 is pointing out the way in which there is no outside to the system that we live in. And by that I mean that it's not just that our political systems and our economic systems function according to a certain, like, let's call it the logic of capital, but that logic has been internalized psychologically and individually, so that it's not as if there's a political system and an economic system and we exist externally to those things. I think what The Boys is basically saying is, like, there's a big biodome of the logic of capital, and we are all in that dome whether we acknowledge it or not, and it's super hard for us to get outside of it or even think outside of it or even conceive of alternatives to it from inside of that system. So yeah, and I will say, before our stream I got off a call with one of our favorite writers, Ross McIndoe, a Scottish legend, and we're going to be working on a Boys video, so I'm very excited about that.
Oh, that's
Vox,
awesome.
yeah. I think we're going to do, I'll spoil it, friends. I'm going to do 2 things on The Boys. We're going to do a Wisecrack edition and a Philosopher Reacts. So we'll have some Boys content coming your way. I'm very excited for it. Vox says, I enjoyed Kenobi a lot as an artifact, but as a cultural media theorist, it wasn't actually good. It has lots of technical story problems that I would criticize a lot without Star Wars blinders. Totally, I agree with you, Vox. And let's maybe next week talk about some of those. I don't want to spoil anything now, but I'd love to talk about it from a story perspective.
We can put a text on the screen that says spoilers for Obi-Wan, so no one can enter and not be fully warned.
Yeah, so we'll give you a week. M. Hurlo brings us up. I think Mandalorian and Obi-Wan are literally filmed at the same facility. So there you go. Maybe they had less of a budget or something like that. Oh yeah, and Pablo, I screwed up. Boys isn't season 4, it's season 3. I just said season 4. Sorry. Let's see, just catching up on comments. Cool. So let's boom, 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 boom. Let's get into this first video. This is one I haven't watched it. It's the newest video on the Gravel Institute. I tend to like their channel. It's kind of fun. Some people that have ties with Wisecrack have done work with them before, including our friend Alec. So let's watch this Robert Reich video about minimum wage. I remember minimum wage. First few jobs I had were minimum wage, and it's crazy to now think. I think the first job I ever had, I got paid $6.25 an hour, and in
nice.
In contemporary life, I'm just like, that's insane.
Chat, what's the lowest you've gotten paid an hour? Anyone in chat? The lowest amount.
Yeah, and this will, I'm sure, age people as well, and it depends on where you live, where you're at in the world. But the lowest I've ever been paid in America was $6.25 an hour.
What state?
Cool. Let's start this. Florida.
Florida. Cool.
I will say this though, in Florida, you don't pay state tax. So
you just pay more property.
Yeah, and I didn't own property when I was a teenager.
Right.
So I
sucks to be you.
Yeah. I'm gonna age myself, friends. I remember when I made $6.25 an hour, I remember for a $20 bill, I could get a full tank of gas in my car. So there you go. You will made $8.25 in 2012. 0 an hour for Joshua Tiny Force. Okay, cool. Let's start watching this video.
If your business model depends on paying your workers starvation wages, you should not be in business.
Also, shout to Brett S. Brett S for the comment. Is H. John Benjamin on the mic. When there was that app where you could upload a picture of yourself and it would tell you what celebrity you looked like, I would always get H. John Benjamin, and then one time I got DJ Khaled.
Another one.
Yes. So that was pretty fun. But good call on that one.
The federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour hasn't been raised since 2009. That's the longest period without an increase since the...
So 13 years that wages have not gone up at the federal level. And I don't even know, if we have any economists on the line, let us know how much inflation's gone up in that time. Robert probably will. But yeah, 40-year-old geek never had a minimum wage job. Vox Podcast, who was 90 years old, had minimum wage at $3.35. I'm just playing. I'm sorry. Vox is great. Vox is probably slightly older than me.
I got paid $2.13 an hour plus tips in Texas.
Okay. When PS4 customer worked at Rubio's, which I'm assuming is Rubio's, the fish taco restaurant. Bi-weekly checks of 65. Whew, we have an 825, 735 in California, and 98, 735 in California. Wow, I guess California is a lot more expensive too. We got a 725 in California, 250 plus tips. Yeah. 825 Einstein Bagels in Florida. Okay. Einstein Bagels, I will say this, best bagel chain.
Yes.
Easily. Okay, we got 20 seconds into the video. Oh, we got a 585 in 2008. Vox 48. Okay, Vox, I think we're basically about exactly a decade apart. So I think that's fine. At a certain age, I feel like if you're within 10 years of someone, you're about the same age. Yeah, Vox, I feel like, we have a nice split here. You're about as older than me as I think Griffin is younger than me. Not to dox you, Griffin, but you're younger.
My social security number is.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's see what's
minimum
going
wage
on
was
here.
enacted, meaning today's minimum wage is actually worth far less than it was in 2009. This is
Yay.
an insult to American workers and bad for our economy. It's far past time to raise the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour. Today's federal minimum wage is a starvation wage. A full-time minimum wage worker can't afford a two-bedroom.
So this is crazy. And looking at this map, even though it's like half of the country, if you look at some of the states here, like, you have California, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Florida, Virginia, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Washington, Massachusetts. These are like the most populous states in the country. So even though this map looks like half the country, population-wise, this has to be like, once again, I'm just throwing shit out there, but like 80% of the country, where you have to make over $20 an hour to afford a 2-bedroom rental. I think we can all agree it's like pretty fair to, if you're gonna work full time, you should be able to afford something like that. So that's wild.
Bedroom rental in any city, county, or state in the entire country. Meanwhile, billionaires like Jeff Bezos can afford
Bezos making bald men look like shit. Just I hate how there's always a bald man villain in society.
a DC mansion with 25 bathrooms and 5 living rooms. Just one.
Why do you have 25 bathrooms, Jeff Bezos? You know what I mean? Does he have to poop and pee so much that he always has to have a bathroom within 5 feet of him? I don't understand the desire of having so many bathrooms.
I think people just buy like giant houses and then run out of imagination. They just have to fill it with bathrooms.
I mean, if I was a bazillionaire, I don't want to have 25 bathrooms. I want maybe rooms for different activities.
Yeah.
Music room, reading nook, gaming room.
Rainforest cafe kind of vibe in one of them.
Rainforest vibe. A hallucinogenic dojo. A screening room. A room where I have a hibachi grill.
Just that. There's nothing else in the room.
Just a hibachi grill. An old-timey tavern. There's so many things I would have. A sauna. A Finnish-style sauna. But 25 bathrooms. He must be a poopy boy. Oh yeah, Michael Sarko. Sorry, I saw this comment as I said that. Michael, you got there first because he's so full of shit. Kilimanjaro says, I'm in LA, above $20, still need roommates. Oh, for sure. I mean, in LA, I'll say this. I have a very reasonable salary. I'm very, fairly compensated by Wisecrack and its parent company, Enthusiast Gaming. But if I didn't share a place with my partner, I don't think I couldn't afford to live where I live now on what I make if I didn't share it with a partner. And yeah, that's just kind of rough. It's rough.
I just moved in with my partner for the first time and just like seeing the difference. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Oh, it's crazy. A little TMI about my personal life, friends. My partner was on she's a writer, and she was on a writing fellowship up at Stanford. And during that time, I was like, I'll be good. I'll pay the full rent while you're there. Friends, it sucked. I went into credit card debt because I didn't have a lot of money, and after taxes and everything else, and I have the cheapest 2-bedroom of anyone I know in Los Angeles, and it was really hard to pay for this. It's rough. 25 bathrooms though, shitty
many
boy.
mansions. Now, the current minimum wage isn't so low because these workers are worth less than they were years ago. Quite the contrary. If the minimum wage had kept pace with workers' productivity increases since 1968, it would be over 22
an hour if it just rose. So much stuff in the economy is made up, friends. That's the weirdest thing with economics, and that's why I think, don't get mad at me for bringing him into this, but Marx was good when he compared economic logic to theological logic, and that they're both based on abstract metaphysical principles with no correlate in material reality, because that's what we're seeing right here. Minimum wage is a ideological construct and not something that's relative to either productivity or inflation. This is a bummer.
$2 an hour today. Even so, conservatives are out to scare you about raising the wage.
There's my uncle Tucker. Fun fact: Tucker Carlson is my uncle.
What?
That's not true.
Oh,
that would suck though.
I was like, crazy, man.
No way, dude. No, I bet that guy has tons of bathrooms too, because he probably poops all the time.
Let's debunk each of their talking points. Myth number one: if businesses have to raise wages, they'll cut employees' hours or cut jobs altogether.
That is one of the most common things. I have like some conservative relatives who I love, and that's the argument you hear a lot. Like, well, if minimum wages go up, how do mom and pop businesses keep their employees? And there's something about that logic that on its face, I get it. There's something intuitive about that. So let's see if it holds up.
Rubbish.
Oh, he says it's
Since
rubbish.
At least the 1930s, critics have argued that setting any minimum standard of decency at the workplace will raise employer costs and kill jobs. Child labor laws, the 40-hour work week, workplace safety laws. If we've learned anything over the years, it's that treating workers decently is worth the price. Besides, an abundance of research shows that increases in the minimum wage do not reduce the overall number of jobs. Researchers examined 138 state-level minimum wage increases and found that the number of low-wage jobs remained essentially unchanged in the 5 years following the increase. But workers were paid more. That's a job upgrade, not a job loss.
Wait, Moises Meza says Jeff Bezos has a bunch of bathrooms because he's the heir to the Swanson fortune. Is that real? Let us know if that's real, because then I didn't know that he was the heir of a frozen chicken fortune.
And multiple studies have come to the same conclusion. When I led the fight to raise the minimum wage in 1996, many conservatives predicted huge job losses.
It's my uncle, Newt Gingrich.
Well, I'm happy to report that after the increase, almost 10 million low-wage workers received a raise, with no decline in overall employment. It's simply a myth that raising...
M. Hurlo says, exactly how weak are unions in USA? I don't have the number off the top of my head. Maybe I'll get to it in this video. Very weak compared to where they used to... Oh, Carlson is a Swanson error. Duh. Sorry about that. That makes very good sense.
But there's a lot of unionizing at Starbucks and Amazons, and it seems like the more that there's like monopolies, the more people have a shared experience to rally around.
Yeah, for sure. So I think what we've seen is a decline in traditional unions, so like large scale national labor unions, things around like industrial labor and trades and stuff like that. And now we're seeing a groundswell in unionization in businesses like that. So, things are trending up, but for anyone who's not in America, we have a system that's really... We have a lot of laws at the state and federal level that are not conducive to unionization. So, also I learned that if anyone saw, there's an HBO documentary series called The Lady and the Dale, and you learn that there's this LA-based reporter who throughout the series, you kind of learn is like a total piece of shit, and that he was sort of this like homophobic, transphobic reporter that kind of like ruined someone's life. And then at the end of the series, it's like, oh shit, that's Tucker Carlson's dad. So it's like, of course that's Tucker Carlson's dad. Yeah, he must have a lot of bathrooms if he's eating all that Swanson chicken.
The wage automatically means lost jobs. Not to mention the benefits for workers themselves. Raising the wage to $15 an hour by 2025, as proposed in the Raise the Wage Act, would give 32 million workers a raise. Here's the bottom line. If your business model depends on paying your workers starvation wages, you should not be in business. Myth number 2.
Alfredo asks, do you have any respect for the U.S. Constitution? I have respect for the fact that the framers of the Constitution earnestly, in some cases, attempted to create a system of government that responded to some of the problems perceived from European monarchies, and that there are elements of the Constitution that explicitly aim to give rights and power to people, of course, like mostly landowning white male people. But I think at the time, there is something, I don't want to say revolutionary, but there is something important about the intent behind the Constitution. It is important to note that, like, there is a relation between the American Revolution and the French Revolution, and then, the Haitian Revolution. But I think that what I don't, I respect the spirit of the thing at its time. What I don't respect is the idea that in 2022, that we should have any allegiance to a document created at a time where people could still die of getting the shits.
Well, that's today. That's today, sir.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of homies to the shits. But yeah, so Alfredo, I don't know if that answers your question. I think it'd be too easy and glib just to be like, fuck the Constitution. No, because like it's a system that aimed at some good things, but I think it has some holes in it. So
if you have other questions for Burns like that one, you can super chat to get your question definitely answered.
Yeah. Christopher says that was the minority the Constitution was written to protect. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing as well. Like, I think there's so many things with the Constitution and even the Declaration of Independence where if they were applied universally, then for sure. Vox, thanks you. I have my dancing shoes on today. And yeah, Joan, I realized that diarrhea is still a top global killer. I felt, to be honest, I felt guilty ever since I said that internally. So as I've been talking internally, I've been thinking like, Michael, you are a monster because you made a joke about a thing that really kills a lot of people. And that's not nice. So I apologize for that. I absolutely respect the USS Constitution. I think I've seen that boat. I love boats. I love big boats. I love small boats. I love anything involving the water. Now, do I like the USS Constitution if the USS Constitution is facilitating maybe like attacks on civilians? No. But I like boats in general. So there you go. Itcha Petty is here. What's up, everyone? Hi. Amarillo says, people treat the Constitution as if it was written last week and also the future. It's insane the founders didn't know TikTok. Yeah. No, but that's the point as well, right? Like, we don't, it's like scientists don't still refer to the peak of scientific innovation in the late 18th century as the framework we use for modern physics or modern chemistry, right? At the time, there was a set of scientific knowledge that human reason continued to push beyond. Paradigms have shifted, and those led to different things. So it's weird that in terms of democratic theory and political theory, that we would at all say that what happened in the 1700s, is the end all. Like, let's be honest. We didn't have Hegel yet. If you can't really have a political system before you have George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel or Karl Marx or anything like that, so I think that it's weird. We should never treat anything, whether it be art, science, politics, literature, as the static thing, because human reason and the spirit of reason is continually progressing, shifting paradigms, yada yada. I don't want to rant too much. Let's see. Missed the boat on a pun regarding good Constitution and the Constitution. I love boats. I love puns. I love boat puns. I love punny boats. I love boaty puns. Boat names are really good too. I love when people find good like names of boats that people have and take pictures and send them to me. Okay.
Small
Myth 2.
businesses won't be able to afford the higher wage and will be put out of business.
Wait, why does the chicken run a butcher? That's a chicken, and in front of it at its butcher counter, there are sausages, steaks, but there's also chicken legs. So presumably this small business owner is cannibalizing its own to make a profit. So honestly, fuck this chicken and its butcher, and I hope it fails, because that's brutal. If it was a chicken that just sold beef, then it's fine. Then it's like the Chick-fil-A signs where the cows say eat more chicken, because the cows are trying to distract us into the consumption of chicken so we consume less beef so the cows don't die as much. But this is a little weird. Oh man, M. Hurlo said a classmate, dad died of a heart attack while in the toilet when I was a kid. Shit happened. That is like a thing. Old dudes sometimes do that.
Baloney. The fact is, a higher minimum wage can actually lower costs to small businesses. How? Well, for starters, a higher minimum wage attracts more potential workers into the labor force, thereby giving employers more choice of whom to hire. This leads to higher productivity and better service. Better service means more satisfied clients and customers. Higher paid workers are also more likely to stick around, saving business.
That's true too with higher paid workers. Like sometimes whenever someone complains to me, I don't know if they're like, oh, someone at the Chipotle or another place where I know people aren't getting paid great didn't jump through hoops. It's just like, dog, like, if you were getting paid shit wages, are you like, let me go above and beyond to serve the corporation? Like, no, like you shouldn't, like, no, why would you do that? I think especially a lot of like service industry jobs, there's this horrible standard where in many cases there's certain service industry jobs that are paid really poorly, and yet customers expect people to be kissing their ass constantly. It's not a good vibe. And I will say that at least in some places I've been in Europe where things aren't based on a tipping model, people get to act more like humans, and there's no like level of performativity necessary to make wages.
Right.
Moises says Elvis didn't poop for like 4 months and overdosed on laxatives. Listen, I don't know if that's true.
Is that in the movie?
But I don't know. Let us know if you've seen the Baz Luhrmann film Elvis. I don't think I'm gonna see it.
I'm going.
See it. Yeah. Bingo Barra says that is meritocracy, which still is exclusive. Yes. I think Robert Reich is like one of those people who sort of has a good sense of things economically, but still buys into a certain like American liberalism logic that can sometimes be a little, ugh.
This is the hefty costs that come with recruiting, hiring, and training new workers. A study of the San Francisco airport confirms this. Researchers found that following a wage increase, a majority of workers who received a raise improved their overall performance.
Well, because you're not miserable. It's not even like that you care more about your job, but if you're not constantly stressed about money, it makes it a lot easier to just like live life in a functional way. And I know that I hate that this is true, but I had a lot of years where I was adjunct teaching. And if anyone doesn't know what that means, it's when you teach at a university, but you just get paid per course. So you're not getting hourly wages, you don't get benefits. And in some cases, like I've taught at places where you get paid $2,500 to teach a course for a semester. You know, after taxes, you're talking what, maybe like $1,800 for an entire course. Sometimes at a university where students are paying like, $25,000, $30,000 a year for tuition. The numbers make no sense. And the difference of like not making money and just making like a normal salary and having some benefits, you're just like happier, you're less depressed, you're well rested, you have access to healthcare. So it's like you're going to do a better job at your job, not because you even care about your job, just because you're more of like a person. Yeah.
The higher wages even led to shorter airport lines. Researchers also found that employee turnover declined by 34%.
Also, shouts, I just saw Joan Jobs comment overdosed on laxatives. Oh boy.
Saving an estimated $6.6 million a year. Smart business owners understand this. Henry Ford, after introducing the $5...
A little weird that we're going to now be like, Henry Ford, good guy. Pretty sure Henry Ford was a Nazi. He was a Nazi, right? I'm pretty sure.
I mean...
Or like Nazi adjacent, or like thought that Hitler had good ideas or something like that. Hey, Israel.
He was a heterodox thinker for his time and would have been an incredible YouTuber.
And that's what we missed out on, guys. We missed out on Henry Ford as YouTuber.
...day in 1914, when typical industry wages were less than half that, called it his best cost-cutting strategy because of the productivity boost that followed. Myth number 3, if the minimum wage is raised, prices for everything will skyrocket and lead to widespread inflation. Wrong.
And that's funny too, because we have horrible inflation right now, and it's not going up. Oh, Vox, rooting for you, rooting for you. Although some adjuncting isn't as bad. Alex Love says, if you like boats, have you ever seen Thomas Dark's sister show Tugs? If not, I'd check it out. Oh, I have not, so I will check it out. The gem didn't go to waste. I wasn't going to let that get flushed down the toilet. Okay, eugenics advocate, so that's why I think I associate him with Nazi stuff. Oh, and a union buster. Great.
Wrong again. Researchers have found that for every 10% increase in the minimum wage, prices increase by less than 0.5%.
That's not a lot.
And it's a temporary price increase.
Monkey Jeebus with the puns. Today's the pun day. You know, today's we've had the throat share show. Now we have the pun show.
Occurring only in the month the wage hike goes into effect.
Make sure you always pun up and not down.
No way this sparks inflation. In fact, the minimum wage needs to be raised so it can keep up with inflation. Because of inflation, today's minimum wage is worth almost a third less.
That sucks. Our money's worth less than 1968 money. TikTok wasn't a glimmer in anyone's eye in 1968. Can you imagine what food was like in 1968 in America? Like, in terms of...
Terrible.
Yeah, like if you were going to get Mexican food, unless you lived probably in the southwestern United States, it would be a terrible, flavorless joke. Outside of major cities, people still didn't have access to good, like, Chinese, Japanese, Korean food, Vietnamese food. Like, everything had to be so bland.
Did your parents cook your vegetables well? Because my parents never used like salt, pepper, olive oil, like nothing. So I just hated vegetables growing up.
Oh yeah, I'll say this. Shouts to my mom. I have a weird kind of problematic mom, but one thing she always did growing up, lots of good olive oil and like good sea salt. So whenever we had veggies and stuff like that, there was always lots. And I feel like we had a lot of olive oil at a time where I feel like everyone else I knew, they just had like Crisco or other cooking oils. So I feel like I learned at a young age that olive oil, sea salt, and good cracked pepper go an incredibly long way.
Did we get Alex Luff's super chat question here? About
yeah,
okay,
about
cool.
Thomas and Dark Tugs.
Cool.
Yeah,
Just
I'm gonna check
that.
it out. I haven't seen the show.
Cool, sorry.
Alex, I would never forget you. But thank you for keeping me on track. Well, M. Hurlo said that they probably had salt in the 60s, but like the oils were bad, the seasonings were bad, they overcooked a lot of stuff, a lot of boiled meat. You probably got decent burgers. I always just assumed that like the best food at a certain era was maybe like food made by Italian immigrants in some of the bigger cities. Maybe you could at least get some decent pasta. I don't know. But Joan Jobs brings up a good point. Selection was terrible, but honestly, the nutritional content had to be better because all the instant crap was separate. Yeah, it probably was healthier because you were getting better quality food. We didn't have the same level of industrial farming. So, yeah, in 1968, your money was worth more, and you might not have had as much variety, but you had less gunk in your food.
Than it was in 1968. And since it was last raised in 2009, it's lost 17% of its value. This means that compared to 2009, minimum wage workers have lost $3,950 every year.
Think about what you could do with, let's just call it $4,000. I am still at the place in my life where $4,000 a year is like massive. Having an extra $4,000 a year might mean paying off some debt, going on a vacation, buying some cool gear. Not having $4,000 is a lot too. And even to think about it from like a free market perspective, by taking away $4,000 from workers, much of that $4,000 is going to get pumped back into the consumer economy anyway. So what are we doing?
So that's why a higher minimum wage would boost economic growth. 70% of the economy depends on consumer spending.
See, that's what I was saying.
More money in people's pockets means they can spend
I got there first, Robert.
more on the goods and services.
Who's also, Robert's my second uncle, once removed.
That keep the economy going. Oh, and raising the minimum wage would reduce the amount of money taxpayers spend on public assistance that families need because their breadwinners don't make enough to live on. It's estimated that nearly half of federal minimum wage workers' families are enrolled.
Yeah, Dashing LP, that's super real. Dashing LP says, I could pay for therapy. And I know personally, like, making more money and having access to healthcare is the only thing that's made it possible for me at various points to have access to mental health services. And especially because, at least in America, even good private insurance rarely gives you access to like good mental health care. So I know that for me, like, I still have to pay out of pocket for a bunch of that. And I couldn't do that if I made a big chunk less. Sorry if that's TMI, but we're here. We're going parasocial both ways. M. Hurlo says 4,000 sounds like my yearly bar tab, to be honest. The worst thing I ever did one year was go through a year's finances and add up all the money I spent at bars. Never do that. Never ever do that. Unless you want to come face to face with something. I realized during COVID I had a lot more money at one point. I was like, well, I haven't gotten a raise, and I was like, oh yeah, because I can't go to bars. But you know what gets you at bars, or what used to get me at bars, is food. It's one thing when you go for happy hour and you get some like $5 or $6 beers, which is still expensive, but LA has bad happy hours. But then you're hungry, so you start buying food, and then it's all over from there. Okay.
In at least one safety net program.
Monkey Jeebus would spend it on weed and toys. But why not? Here's the thing, right? Human existence is about flourishing and finding happiness and joy. And if having toys and weed would make you happier,
Costing
awesome.
the public $107 billion every year. That's right. Our tax dollars are subsidizing corporations that.
When I pay taxes, I think, thank God I'm giving money to Walmart, Burger King, McDonald's, and Dollar General.
And Tesla.
And definitely Tesla. I write a thing on my tax return. I leave a Post-it note that says, please give extra. Take money to give to Tesla. I want to make sure they're okay.
Make sure Elon reads this note.
Yeah. Also, everyone, what I really love, and I apologize for any Tesla drivers who are on this chat. I'm going to make a guess, though. I'm going to guess that none of you are Tesla drivers. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that in a good way. I'm not a Tesla driver. Griffin's not a Tesla driver. They're shitty cars. They're like not high quality cars.
Yeah.
They're the battery cells used are cool and good. That technology can be used in very cool ways. What they've done using that technology to provide clean energy is objectively a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it can get used in better ways. But the cars are pieces of shit. Like, they're bad cars, and for the amount of money you pay for them, there's so many videos online of like shit just like falling apart on the inside of them. It's crap. But yeah,
and like there's two models coming from Toyota and I think Honda that are just gonna like eat their lunch, because it's like people who actually like have been making cars for decades and aren't like built on like fake tax investment from us.
Exactly. Ooh, Vox has a Tesla driving brother. I know some people in this town that drive Teslas, and it's very funny because there are people that sometimes are kind of like performatively anti-Musk on the internet and then drive a Tesla, which is kind of funny, but whatever.
Don't pay a living wage. Myth number 4.
Fourth myth.
Most minimum wage workers are teenagers making some extra money on the side.
That's so ridiculous. I know he's going to tell us that, but the idea that that everyone that makes minimum wage is like a teenager is so stupid. And this idea that like that so much of the service economy is just made up of like teenagers doing summer jobs is ridiculous. If anything, I know that I've heard from some. I haven't like heard from teenagers. I don't like chat with teenagers a lot, but I have seen anecdotally that it's harder these days for teenagers to get jobs because things suck, and people, experienced laborers, have to work a lot of those lower wage jobs.
They don't need a wage increase. More rubbish. Well, this might have been the case in 1968. It certainly is not now. Today, only 1 in 10 workers who would benefit from a $15 minimum wage increase is a teenager. More than half of them are between the ages of 25 and 50.
Well, and also, too, I think there's the myth there that one would assume minimum wage doesn't matter to people that are under 18, but that presupposes that teenagers and children who work come from relatively affluent families and are just working for their own walking around money, rather than acknowledging that for a lot of teens who work, it's to either support their own families to save money for college, in some cases to pay for their own lives. So a lot of faulty logic at play there.
54.
Right.
More than half of them.
Oh yeah, Azura says BS. When I worked at Amazon, all you meet are older folks. Yeah, in the movie Nomadland, the Chloe Zhao film, which won the Oscar a few years ago, there's the scene where the Frances McDormand character gets to an Amazon plant to do some seasonal work, and it's all like retired people. Once again, I know it's a movie, but like I think they did some research and based it on something.
Them work full time, and over a quarter have children. Today's minimum wage hurts people who are in their prime earning years, preventing them from
40-year-old geek makes a good point. Why should teenagers need to work at all? Yeah, if we're going to have a society that tells you that it's a necessity that through the age of 18, you need to be in full-time education to be competitive on the job market or to be competitive to get into college, we shouldn't also have an economy where those people are expected to work, because like school is a full-time adventure, you're at school for what, 7-8 hours a day plus homework. To have to work on top of that is really asking a lot of young people, and young people need time to play video games and masturbate. And I think that we should prioritize video game and masturbation time for young people.
from building wealth and financial security. Raising the minimum wage would also help reduce racial and gender pay disparities. Minimum wage increases and expansions in the late 1960s reduced the income gap between black and white workers. Raising the wage would have a similar effect today because black workers, Hispanic workers, and women comprise a large portion of today's low-wage workers. In sum, raising the minimum wage is good for workers, good for businesses, and good for the economy. In addition to all this, raising the minimum wage is the morally correct thing to do. It ought to lift working people out of poverty, not keep them in it. We're the richest country in the world, home to the richest people on the planet. We can and we must treat our workers with the dignity and respect they deserve. That starts with paying them a living wage.
Thanks, Uncle Robert. Remember, raising minimum wage won't kill jobs, won't hurt small business, won't take inflation. 90% of minimum wage workers are adults. Everyone can tell that to their conservative uncle at what's the next holiday gathering? If you're in America, maybe 4th of July or something. All right, cool. We got through it. Okay, question. Probably have time to watch maybe one more thing. I'm gonna give everyone some options. There's a video that came out, I think today, on, is it Jenny or Amy Nicholson's channel? There's a video I have pulled that's about a church in Canada that does seasonal stage productions of films. So it's a big evangelical church, and they do Avengers and Batman and Pirates of the Caribbean and sort of like productions of films. I find it very interesting because, as we know from the God's Not Dead series, I'm kind of into evangelical culture. Bingo Barra says this is a one-side video, supposedly myth busting. Well, I guess I would say it's one-sided in so much as it's responding to well-established talking points on the other side. And I would say that like it's not one-sided because it's coming from a clear ideological perspective, but maybe, I don't know, maybe they could have done a better job of that. I don't know. So would we rather watch... Oh, so M. Hurl has already watched it. Jenny's video on the church that does really wild plays, or a video that explores pipelines to the alt-right on the internet and gets into Prager University and kind of like the growing like alt-right intellectual side of things. So basically, if we want to have some fun, maybe looking at the weird world of evangelical plays based on popular media, or do we want to dive into the more insidious world of...
Wait, sorry, what are the options? I'll create a poll.
Okay, so let's say church plays versus the alt-right internet. Maybe that's a way to put it. So Bingo Barra says he's just saying this is not true and you could have a huge debate on each topic. I mean, you could, but once again, I don't know if the point of like,
No,
and this is
that
sort of
didn't
a thing.
work. Never mind.
Don't worry about it. I'll give people a little more church plays. Yes, no, alt-right internet. Yeah, sure, whatever. It's a weird poll, but play with it if you want, everyone. Um, people feel like fun this afternoon. Yeah, no, but I see what you're saying, Bingo Bear. I just don't know if like there's this weird expectation sometimes where when one presents an argument, that then it's like, well, they didn't present the other side, and I wonder if that's a reasonable expectation because like where is the line drawn between the necessity of preventing every side? And I think sometimes, especially for YouTube content, I think the point is like presenting an argument. And I think like we do this in our videos. We try one of a word we use a lot when we're looking at our scripts and research is we always say like, are we being too editorial here? Meaning that we want to make sure we're never just like telling you what to think, but we're presenting ideas. But of course, with the idea that here's a way to look at things, but please look at other options. Okay, let's look at the church thing for now. And we'll save the PragerU pipeline video, which is also recent, and maybe we'll watch that next week or if we have more time. So do you mind pulling up that video, Griffin?
Yeah, I'm having trouble. Just can you vamp for like
No,
30
no,
more
no.
seconds?
Of course I
Thank
can
you.
vamp. Of course I can vamp. But again, I think your point, Bingo Barra, is well taken, and I don't outright disagree. And watching that video as well, I hope the vibe that you're getting isn't like, let's watch this video so I can be like, yeah, it's right. I think that the Gravel Institute just makes videos that look pretty good, and
So my
we like
recent
some
fascination.
people that work there. Oh,
Cool.
I heard a voice.
There it
Joan
is.
Job says both sideisms is why we are here, because one side knows they're being intellectually dishonest, but will get equal coverage for their BS. Yeah, I think both sidesism is a problem. And let's see, Vox Podcast says it's not so much that it's another side. The problem is, no, the idea of minimum wage isn't a simple binary, but the real argument isn't do it or not. The current conservative just takes this down. Yeah. Cool. So again, we will. No worries.
And
Okay,
we're back.
we're here.
All right.
Just a good hat setup too. So I'll see if I'll jump around and if I can be accurate. I know on the YouTube one she has the chapters really well outlined, but we'll jump around here a little bit. I just find this fun because I think this is well established. I enjoy the world of conservative evangelical culture and the media around it. As I will always say, how do we phrase this? Here's what I'll say. A thing I loved a lot. I remember this first time we did a God's Not Dead video. Here was my concern. My concern is that well-intended religious people would feel like I was just shitting on their beliefs, which is not what I wanted to do. And it meant a lot to me that I got some like comments and messages from people after we did the first God's Not Dead video that were like, hey, I'm a Christian pastor. I love this. Thanks for making it. That stuff is ridiculous, and we don't believe that sort of thing. So with all of that, I just hope everyone knows that watching stuff like this isn't like shitting on religion or anyone's theology, but maybe shitting on some weird stuff that they're making there. Also, I just want to say right now that, again, I love this chat. I love all of you. And I like that even in the chat, we're able to have some disagreements and talk about stuff in a healthy way. And I like that Bingo Bear is able to say, hey, here's what I think about this stuff. And a lot of you are able to be like, I don't know, here's the problem with both sidesism. And we're getting into it in a way with a little bit of nuance. And that's important because both sides matter. Okay, let's watch the video for a bit.
Has been obscure Canadian church plays. I'm referring
Obscure Canadian church plays. So shout out to the Canadians in the chat today.
Specifically to Church of the Rock, an evangelical church in Winnipeg. They've got a tradition where every Easter, instead of a standard church service.
For the Canadians in the chat right now, let us know what Winnipeg is like. Like, what's the vibe in Winnipeg? The way in which, if you were non-American and you asked me, like, what's the vibe in Wisconsin? I would say party Midwesterners, a lot of drinking, a lot of cheese consumption. There's lakes, there's a lot of grass, there's some hills, there's a weird mix of like some more liberal cities and some kind of conservative smaller towns. They like the Green Bay Packers a lot of Lutherans. I don't know. What's Winnipeg?
Service, they put on a little skit of the Easter story by way of a pop culture character. And as the years have passed, these plays have become increasingly elaborate.
Also, shout out to my fellow hat wearing
So
YouTuber.
they're not like a nativity pageant with all the little kids of the church dressed up as angels and sheep and stuff. They're an adult undertaking, like a full-scale production. And you see a lot of the same actors popping up from year to year. So I assume they're high-ranking church officials.
We got Winnipeg intel from Stay Lifted Productions. Winnipeg is horrible. It is cold half the year, too many bugs the rest of the year. Doesn't sound fun.
Officials or prominent volunteers. The plays feature musical numbers, usually parodies or just straight up covers of pop songs. And obviously, best of all, they all feature a popular children's character dying on the cross for our sins. But don't worry, they'll come back. I have never been to this church, and I don't have any personal experience with this kind of elaborate church play, but I've come to learn that this isn't the only church that does skits like this. However, what sets Church of the Rock apart is that they film their plays. And we're not just talking a home movie for posterity, we're talking a multi-camera, fully edited production with professional
They're
sound
good productions.
in stunning HD. At time of recording, the church doesn't seem to have a consistent online archival system for these plays. I imagine because they're afraid of getting sued for their use of these copyrighted songs and characters. But this past Easter, they did live stream a whole bunch of their greatest hits, and I watched them all, and I would love to share them with you today. So let's begin with 2008 Star Trek.
This is wild. I mean, it looks pretty good. Tyler says, highest violent crime rate in the whole country. I'm assuming that's Winnipeg. I mean, this looks good. Like, that's like
This
a
is the
good
first
production. Like, they did a good job.
I have access to, but probably not anywhere near their first production ever. I'm just saying that based off like the complexity that you can already see at work here. It's probably
Also, it's pretty clear that whatever the production is good, but it's clear that whatever money they used for that production is likely money that was tithed to the church by people who were told that 10% of their income should go to the church for like their work. So it's, I don't know.
probably not even the first production that they filmed because the camera work and the editing is already pretty sophisticated.
Dang it, Spock! I'm a doctor, not a worship leader.
Like, it's lower resolution, but they're already using multiple camera angles and cutting to other media on the screens. And look at the set they've built, it's crazy. But in many other ways, I would consider this one a basic prototype. The energy really drags, there's a smaller cast, and many more awkward pauses. But there's also a really charming
Whoa.
earnestness to it. The performers are hardcore struggling the entire time, trying to get the audience to sing along, get on their feet, cheer, anything.
Perhaps if the entire Starfleet would stand with us. The entire Starfleet would stand with us.
What
Even in
accent is
productions
he
this
trying
early,
to do?
We've already got live musical performances, which I guess isn't a far leap for evangelical churches. I think they tend to have like Christian rock every week. For the first song here, they've even written custom lyrics, which I always love.
Lived a certain man in the Bible long ago. He was sent from God to the earth. He did go.
Woo! I mean, listen, it's not bad.
People heard him speak of hope.
Is this ska? It's a Christian ska song being sung in the context of a Star Trek production at church.
And of love. And when he
Dun,
told the
dun,
story,
dun,
people
dun.
couldn't get enough. Rah, rah, let us sing to the great almighty King. He took our sins and he paid the cost.
What is it? Okay. What does it presuppose, though, that they're imagining the Star Trek universe in the context of a Christian God? Meaning then, then we're asking, did the Christian God create the Klingons and all the other races and planets and things in space? Are we presupposing that there is a monotheistic environment where the Christian God created humans and there's different gods that created other people? I now need a Star Trek, a cosmic theology based on this. is what I did. Dash and LP said, I'd rather this than a boring sermon, for sure. Disco Christian space music. Yeah. Spock is showing a ton of emotions. He is.
We've seen a lot of clips from this song.
Okay, but the dance there that they're doing is more like I think like bastardized
I just want you
Irish
to be aware that
jig.
this musical number lasts over 4 minutes. One major difference between this play and its successors is that the actors are forced to physically pass around these
No, Big Tut, you're right. It like sounds and looks good, all things considered.
3 or 4 handheld microphones. In every other production, they're upgraded to either headsets or lavalier mics. There's not much of a plot to this play, to be honest. The setup is the Starfleet's captain has been lost inside a nebula, and the only way to free him is to open up the heavens with songs of praise.
According to the sacred book, from the lips of children and infants, you have ordained praise to still an enemy, an avenger.
Praise to still an avenger? That would seem highly improbable.
So the character's mission is to preach or praise or whatever, so
Oh yeah, Russian dancing. Good call. Like
each
Cruz.
character just takes turns being like, on my home planet, this is how we praise.
If you really want to open the heavens, you get yourself a set of bagpipes.
And then they all do musical numbers.
Oh boy, that was rough. Shouts to
Like
Scotland.
one after the other. The cast of characters is mostly comprised of racial stereotypes, so we get an Easter cabaret of racially charged songs.
Anyone else?
Sir, this is how we do it from where I come from.
Oh, this is gonna be bad, I feel. Oh no!
And the
I knew this was gonna be bad. I didn't think it was gonna be that bad. Whoa.
exceptions to the rule seem to just be unaltered gospel songs. So for the most part, it's kind of just a normal evangelical church service, but with an elaborate sci-fi set. I had thought at the beginning when they said the captain had been trapped in a nebula, that was the crucifixion and it had like already happened. But it turned out it wasn't, because at the end of the play, Khan shoots the captain.
Finally, I wash my hands of you.
They're laughing at his death. These people are sick. They're sick. M. Hurla said, one of the reasons I left the church was that all the churches started turning into comedy shows. I'll be honest, the first time in my life I ever participated in sketch comedy was at a church youth group where we would write sketches and perform them. It's also one of the first places I played music. And the sort of like a youth groupy thing I went to when I was in high school, I felt like for a lot of people, it was, and this isn't even necessarily a bad thing, it was a space for people that were interested in like the performing arts and production to get experience, because there was like a video production wing. People would shoot and edit sketches or video clips. There was a band that would like work on music, and there was like a really good production setup. There would be, sketches and things like that. So in a sense, like I had a better experience learning about like video and audio production and live music and live performance via that church thing than I did at my high school. But I also think a lot of people I was there with, none of them really were like that committed to the theological aspects. It was just a cool place to like hang out and do performing arts stuff and sometimes make out with people.
So that was meant to be the crucifixion. Then the captain is resurrected and the play ends.
Captain, even for you, coming back from the dead would seem highly improbable.
We're going to go through these chronologically. So next is 2009, Pirates of the Galilean. The play is about 20 minutes long and tells the tale of Captain Jack Savior. The actor
Vox Podcast, it is so common. We could have a whole other conversation about this. Vox says, I'm a former youth group president turned atheist academic. I wonder how common that is. There was like, I remember I was at an academic conference once and someone broached the idea, and it was a lot of like philosophy, cultural theory type people. And someone broached the topic of like sheepishly being like, oh, I was like in this youth group growing up. And then everyone just was like, oh, me too, me too, me too. So yeah. PS4 customer says, did you make out with anyone at church? Yeah, dude. I would say church camp trips, man. That's when you learn about stuff, you know.
Actor playing him
Yeah.
is doing the physical character mannerisms, and he's trying to do the voice, but in my opinion, instead of like a 100% accurate Captain Jack Sparrow impression, it comes off more like a 50% accurate Robin Williams impression.
Surely I say to you, there is no one who has left house, or wife, or brothers,
It does sound like Robin Williams. She's absolutely correct.
or children, for the sake of the kingdom of God, who shall not receive many times more in this present time, or in the age to come, eternal life.
Moises, also first kiss at a church party. Shouts to everyone whose first kiss was somehow interrelated to organized religion in a cool way. In a consensual, good, cool way.
The star of this production is definitely this insane pirate
Yeah, band camp, Joan brings up. I feel like band camp, theater camp. I mean, unless you're like cool. I guess if you're cool, your first kiss is like at a party.
ship
Oh.
prop. It's huge. The entire thing's on a turntable. It even has functioning cannons. The songs in this one are weak. The first one is this horrible army-inspired dance beat with lyrics about marching.
Christopher, the bad influence, sneaking people out of church and bringing them to a bar. Oh man, that's fun.
Giving up on fishing tack, run along with Captain Jack.
I can tell this is an adaptation where they've just put Captain Jack's name into an existing pop song, but it must have only been popular in Canada because I don't recognize it at all, nor do I want to. The plot of this play is also very rough. Captain Jack's savior.
Here, I want to skip ahead a little bit because there was one. Let's see if I think I remember where it is. I think around 19 minutes. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, is this the Avengers one? What do we got here? Sorry, friends.
Behind the Easter tale.
So you're this man I keep hearing so much about. Where were you when we ran out of wine at the wedding?
Oh, no, that's Princess Bride, which is fine. Oh, here we go. Wait, maybe it's not Avengers, but it's a superhero-based one. Let's see how they deal with that. Okay, here we go.
For The Dark Knight. To bring the DC universe to the stage, the runtime has now been stretched to 35 minutes. This production is like a bizarre mashup of the Adam West show and
Yes, Vox, we should do that. We should do that podcast. I've had some friends I've talked to about that before. Once I have a friend. His name's Dave Meezing. He's a really good philosopher. You should look up his work. He translates a lot of Italian philosophy. I don't know if he's that present online, but if you like reading philosophy, read Dave Meezing's philosophy. But we talked at one point about doing a podcast where we got drunk and listened to and analyzed evangelical worship songs, but then we worried it might be too traumatizing.
and the Nolan-verse Batman movies.
Whoa!
Everybody looks like the TV show. Robin is here, there's a corny narrator, but Batman is doing the Christian Bale voice because that's all anyone knows how to do when they're doing a Batman impression.
Stop right there, Joker.
That is weird to have the like Adam West Batman costume and the Christian
They've
Bale
gone
voice.
all out on the set design for this one with a functioning Batmobile that mounts the stage on a little ramp. This
Whoa, that's
charming
cool.
Little cardboard car. I love it. And you can see when they made the backdrop, they chose to make one of the 3 buildings the theater where Batman's parents were killed, which feels a bit mean. For our first song, Robin lies down and goes to sleep while Batman is parking the Batmobile.
Sorry I was so long, old chum. I was trying to find a parking meter with time still on.
Wait, so now so Batman was Christian Bale a second ago. Now he's like a British gentleman.
You see, I'm Mennonite on my mother's side.
And has a very long nightmare wherein he sings The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Devil went down to Gotham. He was looking for a soul to steal.
Devil went down to Gotham.
He was way behind. He was willing to make a deal.
He changes a couple
That
words.
song, that rendition. Oh my god!
Listen, the production quality here, it's just really impressive.
To Gotham and Robin,
iCrew says, why isn't Robin in Speedos? Probably inappropriate, I guess. I don't know.
but on the whole, I don't really know why this song was selected. And also, it's 4 minutes long.
It's a really good violin player. 40-year-old geek says, where do they get the money for costumes and production? I'm guessing tithes. I'm guessing people, hardworking Winnipeggers, I don't know what you call yourselves, gave 10% of their income for this.
I guess if we're being honest, they don't try very hard to fit any of these songs into the story.
I may be nothing more than an alley cat, but I feel like a woman.
Guys, that's a Shania Twain song.
Let's go, girl.
Shania Twain, who's at least a Canadian.
Batman solves a riddle from the Riddler, which tells him he's going to die and be resurrected.
I will suffer at the hands of the Joker, who will die, but in 3 days I will rise again.
And then we get this play's crucifixion.
Take him over there! String him up!
It's like kind of dark that they're gonna crucify Batman. This is a little dark.
This one is pretty iconic because they actually crucify him on the bat signal.
Oh my God.
Incredible.
Yeah, let's just really.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Oh man. Wow, Ian, perfect for the punch at. Wow.
This is crazy.
I mean, I'll say this though. If you're a kid, so when I was a kid, I had to go to Catholic mass, and it is pretty boring. It's pretty stale. There's an old Irish guy who would talk for a little bit. We'd sing some hymns. You get up and do communion. You sit down. Dad's like, shut up, be good. Then you got to go afterwards. If I'm like 9, this makes church a lot more fun than that.
Totally.
Holy lost causes, Catwoman. There's no hope now.
And our post-crucifixion lament is a song of hope.
I mean, also I guess they predicted the most recent Batman film, because there is this scene where Robert Pattinson's Batman presumably is like giving his life to save people, and as he falls off that tower in like the Gotham Madison Square Garden, he does the full like Jesus pose. So I guess they stole it from this.
Up and down the boulevard, their shadows searching in the night.
The complete lack of connection of the songs to the production is also really fun.
Could this be it for the Cape Crusader? Has he had his bat cooked for the last time?
I love.
That's so weird that he's on the cross. It's kind of like a serious thing in the Christian world. Has he had his bat cooked?
The corny narration over the grim image of Batman hanging on a cross.
Stay tuned. Same bat time, same bat channel.
God is Superman. He shows up and resurrects Batman, and the baddies are defeated, and everyone sings and dances joyfully. 2013 gives us Tombstone. I can't even
feel like I watched a little bit of this earlier, and it's kind of dark.
begin to guess why they did a Tombstone adaptation in 2013. I tried to Google like what big budget movies did come out that year, and all I can guess is that maybe they thought The Lone Ranger was going to
Tombstone is like a classic dad movie. I don't know if anyone's seen that. It's a good movie, but it's a
be a
dad
bigger
movie.
hit than it was. I think in this case it was.
Oh, happy late Father's Day to any dads who are here. I'm not a dad. Don't currently have one. That was dark. I had a dad. He just passed away. But shouts to all any dads who are here. Let's see. Muffin 514. I was a Christian before this video. I don't know.
It's
Maybe this is
probably less a
converting
question
people.
of like what movies are popular right now, and more like what genre haven't we done yet. And then they just settled on a cowboy play and called it Tombstone, even though like nothing that happens in this has that much to do with the movie. Our hero this time is Sundance, and his sidekick is named Butch Chastity, which I love.
Butch Chastity. Butch Chastity. It's a good porn star name.
Say, Sundance, where's your sidekick, Butch Chastity?
We also have this character, El Loco Bandito.
Oh, happy Father's Day, Christopher.
Are you talking to me, gringo?
Ooh! I don't think that's good. I don't think that guy should be talking like that.
He's intent on taking over the town, and it falls to Sundance to stop him.
I'll come back for you.
Oh, wow.
I guess I don't know that guy's nationality just by looking at him. So maybe in his case, it is okay for him to be doing this.
I love how she's, just kind of like, I don't know. Maybe this is fine. I love the subtlety there of the passive but not overt judgment.
But we can only guess.
And Dashing, it does look like it's dark makeup.
Yes.
Welcome to Coffin Shop. You
Holy shit. This is like Mickey, what was it? Is it Mickey Rourke in Breakfast at Tiffany's? I always get him and Mickey Rooney. Yeah, Mickey Rourke in Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is a movie made in the 60s, when a white actor played a offensive stereotype of a Chinese person. But they're just doing it in 2013 at church, so why not?
program we print them.
How much for this one?
$55.
Oh my God. Also, Christopher said, after 20 years together and 16 years of marriage, my wife and I decided to have a kid. Wow. I'm currently thinking about my wife right now. We should talk later. Bittersweet since your dad died on Father's Day last year, 2 hours after I talked to him. That's cool. Christopher, we have this in common. This is going to be the TMI segment. Everyone knows at a certain point in the stream, I get a little TMI. My father passed away on Christmas morning, right after I stayed up talking to him on Christmas Eve. Both sad and kind of nice that I was around. So there you go. Okay, we got, Mickey Rooney. We might have to skip this part. I know we're gonna get canceled. Oh yeah, Rooney. I get Rooney and Rourke confused. Sorry about that for getting my Mickeys confused.
Okay, I think I can only say that one's not okay.
You don't get for $34.50. Now price gone up maybe $40.
Oh my God, it gets worse the longer he's here. And think, this character could have been any Undertaker who looked like anything. I don't recall any character like this in the film Tombstone, so
There's not.
I mean, I don't recall a character like that either.
Yeah, in the writer's room of this church, they were like, it'd be funny. Let's have Barry over here be a Chinese Undertaker.
they must have just had a guy at this church who could do this accent and thought it would be a real knee slapper to integrate it into the play.
That's $1 whole. You go to the dollar store, you buy something else.
Wait a second, is that the pastor? I'm not that good with faces, but that looks so much like the pastor in racist makeup.
Okay, you recognize a man.
Oh,
wait, what?
Really brutal.
What year was this?
2013.
Yeah, this stuff's happening now too. Like, I went to see Carrot Top in Las Vegas, and it was a lot of same territory.
Wow. Burying the lead here. You saw, you saw Carrot Top in Las Vegas.
I did. I was like, what's the one premiere show you gotta see when you're there? And it's either Magic or Carrot Top.
Wow, sounds fun. Never been to Vegas. Maybe one day. Vox Popcast said, "This is hey. Can we just add some racism? Really want to put some racism in here." I'm gonna keep watching. This is brutal though. Let's.
Please, someone set me straight on this. I don't want to make any undue allegations, but it's in front of my eyes. Okay, I'm gonna find
Jenny's vibe is so good.
some random part of him preaching and put it side by side with these clips so you can help me identify this mystery Chinese man.
Every year we get subjected to a certain amount of criticism, and for some reason I don't seem to be smart enough to anticipate that. I think, I don't know, what are they going to criticize about this?
I saw you $30 today. Tomorrow you come back, I close down.
Give me your opinions in the comments below. So now, back to the play. It's time for a showdown between Sundance and Bandito's men.
Are you ready, Sundance? Annie?
I'm predicting this woman's gonna be a great singer.
Butch? All right, fellas. Let's go!
Okay, I think I was wrong. We got a voice crack right off the way on that. Let's go. Ugh.
We get a bar fight set to Ballroom Blitz.
Whoa,
this woman
that's
is
cool.
bringing down the house. I don't think I've seen her in any of the other plays, and that's a real shame, because that was great. The actors reveal the set is climbable, which is pretty exciting, and they do a little stunt, and then
That's good stunt work. That was really good. They could have broken an
it's
ankle.
time for the crucifixion, which here is just him getting killed in a shootout and put in a coffin with a cross on it. Kind of weak.
Whoa.
And then we get our post-crucifixion lament.
All the other older millennials or Gen X people were just triggered by that song. What's the name of the band? Heaven Let Your Light Shine Down by the band. Whoever says it in the chat first. Sir Pugs a lot. Michael's never been so wrong in his life. I know. What's the band that does that? Is it Collective Soul? Right, Collective Soul did that song. That was a radio hit, friends. If you were around in the mid '90s, that song was on the radio constantly.
But it's okay. Sundance is resurrected, and the characters all sing Gangnam Style.
What?
With original lyrics. Hey.
This kind of makes me, though, also respect more traditional forms of religious practice, like a traditional, mosque, temple, or like Catholic or Anglican church service, where it's like, we're just doing religion. We're not making it fancy. We're going to read some of the stuff. We're going to sing some of the songs. We'll do our thing. And then you can go home and consume your content. Vox has a Carrot Top story. Vox's little brother went with his friends senior year, met Carrot Top, stayed out super late, came home to my mom yelling until he showed her a video of Carrot Top personally begging my mom to let my brother off the hook for stand. Wow! That's kind of fun of Carrot Top to do. I like it.
Oh, who's that dancing in the back? Oh, and that's a wrap on Tombstone. I must say,
maybe we'll look at
not
one more.
One of my favorites.
What's next?
For a variety of reasons. Fortunately, the next production tackles one of my favorite topics. 2014 Rock Star Wars.
Okay, I think we should look at the Star Wars one. We'll wrap it up there. We talked about Obi-Wan. It seems like a nice bookend here. We won't go through, but everyone should watch this video.
This
it's
is
really
a
fun.
36-minute production, so we can see a continued trend of higher effort and longer run times with each passing year. We're off to a strong start. Luke comes in with an electric guitar and starts singing
Cool.
Spaceship Superstar, a song I am not familiar with.
Let's see if this guy, is this guy actually going to shred, or is he just holding the guitar and he's going to cosplay it? Let's see.
But
okay, he's
it's
holding
a
the
real
E
song,
chord.
and the lyrics appear to be unchanged. I think it's just a tone setter because he just comes out and does the song and then he leaves. The set is pretty simple. Like, it's cool looking, but
This looks pretty good. They're good stormtroopers. This woman seems to be the female lead in everything. The one who's playing her there. What's up, Morocco? Rabent XT. Awesome. And yeah, everyone should watch Jenny's video. She's awesome.
It's just that static themed backdrop. The real effort obviously went into the props and costumes.
Whoa. I mean, this is pretty good, especially the C-3PO.
This big cardboard sand crawler, and look at R2-D2.
That is not bad.
C-3PO is not too shabby himself.
You are the Luke, the son of the Jedi Master.
Very
well, Luke works, at least for Skywalker, because there's a Luke in the Bible.
Very good, C-3PO, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you.
Of course not, Master Luke. I have neither flesh nor blood.
If I could direct a Star Wars trilogy, I'd have all the droids looking like this. Just all the astromechs look
That's a really good R2-D2
made, and all the humanoid ones are people in slouchy jumpsuits.
M. Hurlow's right. He doesn't look like he can play. I think he knew enough guitar, the pastor playing Luke at the beginning, to hold it with an open E chord. But then it seemed like that was him just kind of acting like he could play at that point. Yeah, I don't think he was.
Yoda is also a big...
Boom! Joan Jobs says the set is better than Obi-Wan. Oh my God. Okay. I gotta get ready for this Yoda. Balin said, so Obi-Wan is Jesus. Here's the thing. In the Star Wars universe, I mean, you would think Anakin is the Christ figure, because Anakin, the midichlorian Jesus, born from virgin birth, discovers his ministry later in life after a simple childhood. But he's like bad Jesus. He's like if Jesus goes dark. Like if Jesus hung out with Satan, and Satan was like, I can teach you the tricks of Darth Plagueis, and just goes with it. But I guess all the Skywalkers are like Christy. Like they're like a Christy family in the universe.
Highlight for me. Look at this guy. He's played
Yoda.
by two puppeteers.
Oh my God.
His hands and his feet independently and looks like such a scary little monster. Like he's melting.
Are we gonna hear the Yoda voice?
I love it. Oh, I also want to leave in this one Luke line because it got a big laugh and I don't understand it at all.
I'm going to be traveling to the Altona sector.
The Altona sector. Canadians, let us know. Was that a Canadian geography reference?
Has to be.
And I'm going to need a translation droid. Do you speak Low German?
Yeah, it's a regional joke.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Let's see. Vox says, depending on which one you're talking about, Anakin or Luke or Rey as Jesus. Yeah, we got a lot of Jesus figures in Star Wars. M. Hurlo said, does all media need to be compared to Christ? It absolutely doesn't. Although the sort of like Christ narrative is just all over so much media. I think sometimes it's intentional and sometimes it's like in the collective unconscious of a lot of writers and media creators. And Vox says, George Lucas is a Joseph Campbell fanboy. I mean, Joseph Campbell's, a sort of story circle and reading mythology is based off a study of like religious traditions in general. And there is a lot of that there.
Of course I can, sir. It's like a second language to me.
I don't know. Is this evangelical humor? Is it Canadian humor? More
Canadian.
information requested from those in the know. This play actually had a lot more religious dialogue than its predecessors, which honestly I'm digging. Like, what else am I...
Starbucks cup sighting. I like that we see her Starbucks cup. It makes things feel real. Yesterday we were filming a video and producer Olivia at one point had to be like, hide your water bottle, Michael. And I said, yes, we wouldn't want anyone on YouTube to think that I was hydrated.
watching Easter church plays for. Like, I don't think it's as much of a novelty
Oh yeah, and Christopher brings up the Persephone myth. Good
to
call.
just have a bunch of people on stage reciting key lines from the actual films and then crucifying someone at the end. Don't get me wrong, that definitely has its own charm, but I think clumsily integrating phrases from the Bible is way funnier.
I shall demonstrate the power of the Death Star and destroy Altona.
No! Altona is a peaceful planet. They have no weapons. They are pacifists. They were conscientious objectors during the Clone Wars.
Just a little biblical Star Wars humor for the congregation. As far as the secular humor, they've done this thing where they've marginally changed all the character names to similar sounding words.
I've been sent
Java the Hutt.
on a very special mission by only one cannoli.
Only one cannoli. Oh boy.
Only one cannoli? Nobody can eat only one cannoli.
Oh my god.
They're delicious.
Luke Moonwalker, only one cannoli, Darth Vader. Like, what's the point? It's like that Twitter humor of like, instead of Benedict Cumberbatch, you're like, Bandersnatch Crumple Crumpet. It's like, that's not funny. Let's leave that behind. Like, all the way back in 2018. We'll just agree that we're done with that. It's over. It's like saying doggo. We as a society, we don't need that anymore. The most painful joke by far comes at us from the youth pastor who's playing Han Solo. He inexplicably
Okay, we're gonna watch this joke and then we're gonna wind
does
down.
that look at your man, now look at me joke from those Old Spice ads. Is it Old Spice?
Oh yeah, Tolkien, very Christian.
It might be Axe body spray. I don't know.
Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat.
You probably remember them.
Trivia question: who directed this Old Spice ad? I'll give you a hint. What duo directed this Old Spice ad and some of the other Old Spice ads around this time?
Remember them. I'll show a clip. It's the
Well, let's see if let's see how quickly the chat gets it.
commercials where the joke is that they're random and there are a lot of like quick cuts and scene changes. In this one, it's a play, so obviously there are no scene changes, but he still inexplicably recites the entire thing.
Well, Leia, look at him. Now back to me. Now back at him. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Wookiee juice, he could smell like he's me.
Wookiee juice does. PS4 customer got it. Sounds
That's the joke. Just a man standing there, like, staring at us with this dead expression.
So that's like the lowest form of humor, but this happened a lot in church youth group things where people would just redo sketches from stuff. There was a thing at my youth group where someone redid the famous Will Ferrell Harry Carey sketch from SNL. Watch it if you haven't. But wow. Oh yeah, it was Tim and Eric. We actually have a video on the channel about Tim and Eric where we get into that. Okay, we'll wind this down here. Okay, before we wrap up, we're gonna be back in a week. We have some guests coming up soon. I'm excited about them. We have some more fun collabs coming. If there's people you want to see us talk about, or you'd like to see us collab with, let us know. If there's videos that you want to see us cover, if you're a Patreon, post them on the Discord. If there's stuff you think would be cool to watch, always happy to see what y'all are into and what you think might be cool to check out. So feel free to hit us up on Discord. I guess if you're not on Discord, hit us up on Twitter or something like that. Find us on social media, do it there. But reminder, follow us on all the stuff if you want. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel. Check out the Patreon if you have some income to spare, but if not, we get it because wages are low. So maybe you'll wait till the minimum wage goes up. Ocean's right. Obama directed that commercial. Ian Richardson, there wasn't a stream last Thursday because your friend had the COVID. Before we go, final thing. Thank you, Prairie Fire, is our What Arias. This was something invented by the Dude Abides, one of our longtime supporters, fans, and patrons. And What Aria, we let everyone know what we're watching, listening to, reading, eating, what games we're playing, what books we're reading, to both share what we're up to and give people ideas for what we're consuming. Producer Griffin, are you able to jump in right now, or are you busy?
I'm here to the end.
Do you have any What Arias?
Me and my girlfriend are watching Attack on Titan. It's her first watch. This is one of her first animes. And she is absolutely into it. It's cool to show someone like a genre they haven't seen before and have them really enjoy it.
That's amazing. That sounds really cool. Yeah, I'll say, I finished Obi-Wan. I can't say I recommend it super highly. I'm going to watch the newest episode of Miss Marvel, see what's up with that. What else? I started watching The Staircase, which I actually kind of like. The HBO Max true crimey show. It does something kind of meta-ish, and I like that French actor Juliette Binoche is in it, because Juliette Binoche rips. What else? I'm going to start a new philosophy book this week. I don't know which one, friends. I might start a book on Kant and epigenetics. I'll let you know how that goes if I do. Let's see. Anything else? It had a bit of a pizza kick. I had some really good vegan pizza last week. I might have some more pizza. I'm traveling this week. I never go anywhere, so I'm going to the East Coast this weekend. That'll be exciting. And let's think if there's anything else. Ooh, I watched all of the Bonnaroo stream, or a bunch of it, over the weekend. I was still sick, and they streamed a bunch of Bonnaroo on Hulu. I learned that I like funk music a lot. I really enjoyed watching the band Lettuce, and then this gospel funk soul dude Corey Henry. I think it has a band called like the Funk Collective or the Soul Collective. I don't know. It's fun if you need something fun to do. And I really liked the Lettuce has an album that's like live from Tokyo. That's so much fun. So if you need some funk music, why not? Okay, cool. So Ian's going to be here every week. We appreciate it. Paul's reading Billy Summers from Stephen King. iCruise, Crimes of the Future. We can talk about it. I respect Cronenberg. It's a lot for me. Joan Jobs is rewatching The Wire after finishing We Own the City. That rules. Prairie Fire. Things the boys have been all right thus far. We'll talk about it more next week. Any games? I'm not in any games right now. Griffin, you playing anything right now?
Yeah, I'm playing World of Warcraft, and I'm replaying The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, nice.
Which did you guys ever do a video on that?
We did.
Oh, cool. I'll have to go back and check that one out. Yeah, it's been a few years since it came out. There was a lot of like controversies about it online. I find the story to be very classic, almost like a classic revenge cowboy tale. Like it's just like, I think because you're playing it and you're forced to play in other people's shoes, it's like psychically challenging. And I think that's what people like bounced off of the most.
Yeah. And the show's coming out soon too.
Yeah. On HBO.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, good. So there's a game. Let us know if there's any games y'all are playing in the chat. We'll go through. Ian just saw Top Gun Maverick. That movie was so much fun. Prairie's asking if anyone saw X yet. I didn't end up seeing it. Elias just finished Ghost in the Shell. Joan Jobs said, you can't do that. Boom. We're ending on some punny notes. I like it. 40-year-old geeks waiting for the next episode of The Boys. Vox Podcast, stupidly excited to see Elvis. And reading 2 pre-press academic books. That's cool. You got to write reviews for. One on Mouse, one on superhero sidekicks. That sounds rad. G. Hintz reading the 3 Musketeers and catching new seasons. Freaking everything that just came out. Saul, Obi-Wan, Westworld, What We Do in the Shadows, etc. Let's see. Awesome. Christopher Pierce reading Way of Zen. G. Hintz, Boys Season 3. M. Hurlo. What is T? Oh yeah, The Last of Us 2 remake comments online, but a headache. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So a few more things before we go. Come back next week. Let us know if there's stuff you want us to watch in the meantime. Thank you for hanging out. Like you all, this is truly the best chat. I'll say it. This is the best chat on any YouTube stream. Find me a chat that's better than this. I dare you. It's a challenge. You can't do it. Enjoy yourselves this week. We got a new video coming for you tomorrow, so be sure to check it out. If YouTube isn't feeding you our videos, that sucks. But remember, on Mondays and Fridays, we're posting stuff, so you can check it out then. We always have some new stuff in the cooler. Check out our Patreon. Griffin will post the link to the Patreon page in the chat real quick before we wrap up. But, Patreon, once again, you get videos early. You get access to research. You get some extra content from us, some philosophy stuff from me, a new podcast, some other stuff like that. So check it out if you can. Like I always tell you, no pressure. I love you regardless. If you have the money to do it, think about it. If you don't, you don't. Another thing we have talked about, this is coming in the future, is maybe doing some cool exclusive merch on there. I really want to make a throat share mug. So if anyone would buy a throat share mug and we give you a discount, let me know if you would like a throat shares mug, because I think it would be fun. Anything else that I want to drop on you? No, we'll see you next week. And I can't wait to see you then. Thank you as always to producer Griffin for holding it down, Chad, and make it all happen. Thank you so much for all of you. And Moises, I'm sorry YouTube didn't do that. I think YouTube has something against us. I kind of mean that seriously. I'm getting conspiratorial. But remember, Mondays and Tuesdays, we'll show you our videos. There is, M. Hurlo, there is a Discord. It's not free, but at the lowest level of our Discord, at the lowest level of our Patreon, you do get on the Discord. You get extra hangouts. So if you want to drop in, let us know. And as always, we post a playlist of all the streams. So if you don't catch one, if you caught the end of this but want to catch the beginning, we do have a playlist for all the streams, so you can go back and catch it. The only disadvantage is you can't participate in the chat, but maybe you can. You can watch the chat and just jump in. But again, I'm Michael. He's producer Griffin. You all are the best G-damn chat on YouTube. Of course, go to Jenny Nicholson's channel if you want to watch the rest of the video we started today. We'll catch you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.